Thank you. Roll call has been taken. We have a quorum. Hopefully everybody had a chance to peruse the agenda. They were mailed last Thursday. I got mine yesterday, so I'm grateful to have the emails, so I could go through things over the weekend. Does anybody have any additions or corrections or adjustments to the agenda?
No.
Would someone make a motion to approve the agenda as printed?
Make a motion?
Motion by Leo, second by Dennis. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Agenda is approved. Same thing with the minutes from our September 16th meeting. Hopefully everyone's had a chance to look through. And I didn't see anything that needed adjusting. Motion by Dennis to approve.
I'll second.
Second by Travis. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Okay, public hearings. Our public hearing one this evening is elevated dispensaries, request for variance. The applicant is seeking approval of a variance to reduce the adjacent residential setback for a proposed cannabis business at 11649 123rd Avenue South, Sabin, Minnesota, 56580 on parcel 01.050.6011 on outlot P1, Townsite of Baker, Section 1, Township 137 North, Range 47W, Alliance Township. Look for a motion to open the public hearing.
Make a motion?
Motion by Leo. Second by Tim. All those in favor of opening the public hearing, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Public hearing is open. Matt?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, this is a variance request to the residential setback for a cannabis business. Location is in Baker, kind of on the northwest side of Baker. The property information, so the zoning is agricultural service center. It's currently classed as a residential / commercial property used as a vacation rental. There is an administrative home occupation permit for an architectural design business showroom that was granted in 2018. So the applicant is essentially proposing to reuse the Baker Grain Elevator as a licensed cannabis business. The elevator is on a half-acre lot, was constructed prior to current zoning regulations. It's approximately 250 feet from the nearest residence and about 450 feet from two additional homes. The applicant is stating that the project would preserve a locally significant structure, support economic activity in Baker, and meet state cannabis requirements for odor, lighting, and security. The variance before you this evening only applies to this 500-foot residential setback. The property does not meet any other commercial dimensional standards, so minimum lot size, side yard setback, road centerline setback. So an additional dimensional setback variance or variances would be required prior to any conditional use permit consideration for a cannabis business. And so this is looking at the proposed plan. Here's the elevator. It's provided by the applicant, and nearest residence here just to the southeast. So the practical difficulty provided by the applicant, and I'll read this here, is the elevator's physical placement built before modern setbacks makes it impossible to comply with the current 500-foot residential buffer. The structure has stood in its current location for nearly a century, long before today's zoning standards existed. Strict enforcement of the 500-foot setback would prevent any reasonable or economically viable use of this historic building, forcing it to remain idle or deteriorate. The requested 200-foot setback still maintains a meaningful buffer from neighboring residences, while allowing practical or reasonable reuse of the property. The property's narrow lot, historic configuration, a movable elevator structure are unique physical circumstances not shared by other parcels. Just one thing to note about that, with the uniqueness, which is certainly true for this lot, when the Planning Commission and County Board looked at amending our cannabis zoning ordinance to allow for this use in the Agricultural Service Center District. One of the I guess, considerations was that only 8% of the properties in the Ag Service Center could meet that 500-foot residential setback. So kind of from a uniqueness standpoint, as it stands, approximately 92% of properties in the Ag Service Center zoning district would not be able to meet this setback. Policy considerations, so how this would relate to our comprehensive plan. We have a land use commercial industrial goal to encourage commercial industrial development that is in harmony with the agricultural and rural character of Clay County. So again, just reusing this elevator would support the rural character objectives just for reusing an existing grain elevator. Proposed cannabis business is a contemporary commercial use. Compatibility with rural character would depend on a number of things such as lighting, odor, security. The limited separation, again, from nearby residents is relevant considering just for the overall harmony with the surrounding rural kind of residential setting. We do have an objective to promote value-added agricultural, commercial, and industrial development in agricultural service center areas and along transportation corridors and hubs. So cannabis could be considered an ag product. Locating within this service center aligns with that objective. Would represent an adaptive reuse of an agricultural structure. At the same time, it does have a small lot size. Proximity to residential uses may limit its ability to function in the same manner as other larger scale agricultural, commercial, or value-added uses. Then we have a objective to avoid or mitigate against commercial and industrial development that increases the potential for land use conflicts with rural residential or ag uses. So this would be a 50% reduction in the setback, 250 feet from that 500-foot setback. May increase the potential for impacts on nearby homes unless mitigation measures such as odor, lighting, and security controls are implemented and effective. The proximity to these residences and the limited opportunity for additional buffering just due to the lot size are relevant factors under this objective. Any questions for me at all?
So what exactly is a dispensary? Like what happens there?
So the applicant has received preliminary approval for a cannabis micro business, and so that allows for limited cultivation, some product production, and then retail as well. It does also allow for on-site consumption, although smoking and vaping are not permitted.
Anyone else have any questions for Matt?
No.
Would the applicant care to come up and speak to the project? Please state your name for the record.
Hello. My name is Scott Doms. Good evening, and thank you for your time. My name is Scott Doms. I grew up in the Red River Valley, not far from here, and I've spent my entire life around small towns just like Baker. 8 years ago, I bought the Baker grain elevator. A lot of people thought I was crazy for doing it. Because the truth is, nobody saves these buildings anymore. Most end up collapsing, burning down, or being used for fire training practice. That's usually the end of the story. We've lost 4 in the last 3 months in the valley. But I didn't see something that was finished. I saw something that still mattered. When you see Baker, you see the elevator. It's the identity of the town. It's the landmark that tells you where you are and what this place has always been. Agricultural, hardworking, rooted in history. So I took it on, I stabilized it, cleaned it up, repaired everything I could, and turned part of it into an Airbnb so people could actually experience it instead of just watching it decay. I've owned it for 8 years and poured my time, money, and energy into preserving it. But maintaining a 100-year-old structure is expensive. Just to keep it standing, not improving it, just maintaining it costs around $15,000 a year in utilities, heat, insurance, and basic upkeep. And there's no bank that will lend on a structure like this because there are no comparables. It's too much of a risk. For years, I tried to figure out a sustainable use for it. Events, storage, art space, tourism, and none of it came close to covering costs. There was simply no path forward. Then cannabis legalization came along, and for the first time, there was a realistic, responsible, and regulated way to support this building. Not to turn it into something different, but to continue what it's always been, agriculture. This is agriculture 2.0. Growing, cultivating, using vertical space, exactly what an elevator was built for. The cultivation is what financially preserves the building. The retail component is small and controlled, and the lounge is quiet and adult. No smoking, no vaping, no haze, no late hours. Just a place where someone can relax, listen to music, play cribbage, have a conversation, and feel welcome. Everyone who enters will be 21 or older, but the truth is, our real clientele are older adults, veterans, people looking for sleep support, stress relief, pain management, or simply a better quality of life. This is not a party crowd. These are people trying to feel better. And life is hard right now. People are stressed, stretched thin, and isolated. We need places that help us slow down again, places that bring back community instead of pushing it further away. This project is meant to feel like Baker, small, familiar, comfortable, personal. Historically, grain elevators were the social heart of towns. Farmers played cards, swapped stories, and caught up on their lives while grain was being weighed. We're bringing back that sense of place and belonging, not replacing it. The elevator is on the edge of town. You don't drive town to get through it. Traffic is minimal. Most of the real revenue comes from cultivation, not retail. And the more locals who feel welcome to use that space, even for a cup of coffee or to sit and visit, the better maintained and safer the area becomes. That's how communities keep things nice, by using them and taking pride in them. When the county first created zoning for cannabis businesses, the rules were built around highway commercial districts, big 1-acre lots with wide setbacks and modern spacing. But when cannabis was later allowed in agricultural service centers, a new issue appeared. ASC properties were built decades ago for efficiency and density. The elevator sits exactly where elevators were designed to sit, close to the tracks, close to the road, and close to the homes built around them. That's a historic fabric of Baker. All I'm asking for tonight is a variance that reflects the reality of this one historic property so it can function with purpose instead of becoming another abandoned landmark. The practical difficulty is simple. The elevator was built nearly a century ago, long before modern zoning existed, and it cannot be moved or reconfigured to meet the 500-foot setback. That limitation is structural, not self-created. The use is reasonable. The character of the area is preserved. And the request, 250 feet, is the minimum variance needed. Nearby jurisdictions, including Otter Tail County and Detroit Lakes, have zero residential setback requirements for cannabis businesses. So this request is actually more conservative than regional norms. Some people feel that the dispensary brings crime, but Moorhead gives us a real comparison point. Since the tribal cannabis shop opened there this spring, crime has not gone up. In several categories, it's actually gone down. When these businesses are licensed, monitored, and run with pride, they don't create problems. They become part of the fabric of the community. And that's the kind of operator I am, and that's the kind of operation Baker will have. I know people have different opinions about cannabis, and I respect that. But tonight's decision is based solely on the variance standards in your ordinance, not on personal preference. And this project meets those standards. I also know that there's a petition circulating about the project. There's a lot of people in the room. I understand the concern. People don't want Baker to change. I don't either. That's the whole reason I've spent 8 years preserving this structure when most people assumed it would eventually burn down. This isn't about selling weed. I don't want to be seen as some drug dealer guy. I want to be someone who provides something positive, a place that helps people, a place that slows life down a little, a place that brings community back together. This project is about preservation, responsibility, and compassion. It's about saving a landmark and giving it purpose again. And we have a chance to do something no one else has done.
I need you to wrap it up. You're over your time limit.
This project is about preservation, responsibility, and compassion. It's about saving a landmark and giving it purpose again. And we have a chance to do something no one else has done. Clay County could become the first county in the state, maybe in the country, to convert a grain elevator into something useful again. That makes all of us pioneers, Baker, Clay County, and everyone involved. With the federal low-dose THC ban to take effect next year, there will be no place south of Moorhead in Clay County for adults to legally buy low-dose THC drinks. That means residents from town like Barnesville will have to drive to Moorhead, where they will also buy the groceries, gas, hardware, meals, and everything else. Barnesville Liquor Store made nearly $80,000 in a single year from low-dose THC products. That revenue will disappear, and the extra purchases that come with it. If Baker provides a legal, local option, that spending stays in Clay County's small towns, not in Fargo-Moorhead. In closing, the variance is essential. Without it, I will maintain the elevator for as long as I can, but eventually the economics catch up, and Baker loses the landmark. That's not a threat, that's just reality. We have a chance to do something meaningful, something that honors Baker's history and builds its future, something that brings people together, helps people feel better, and gives a historic building a chance to keep standing for another century. I believe in this building, I believe in this project, and I believe in Baker and Clay County. Thank you for your time. Any questions?
Does anybody on the board have questions to direct at Mr. Doms or comments?
So my understanding is that you plan on growing?
Yes, so my license, micro-cannabis license, so there's cultivation, which is growing. I'm allowed to manufacture, which is essentially taking that, what they call flower, or the plant, and processing it into low-dosage drinks or gummies or topicals, creams. There's all kinds of stuff they can do, and it's basically to kind of make people feel better. But there will be, there's a litany of stuff that we're able to offer. So, but it's all highly regulated. Everything is, it's really insane how it is, because you have a seed, and this seed has a number, and that number carries it through the whole system. So everything is documented, everything is weighed, everything is highly compliant. It's very secure. I'm required to have security operation plans. I'm only allowed to be open to 9:30 at night. The timing is a little more conservative on Sundays, but it's a pretty low impact business. Most of the business, the cultivation and the processing, will be done by like 3 to 4 people, and the traffic would be retail if any. I mean, I anticipate there will be. My business plan says so, but it's not like the Moorhead store where the people are rolling in. There's lines and everything. It's just too far away. People younger ages, if they want to go get their product, they're going to go to the 4 other dispensaries that will be in Moorhead along Highway 10 and Highway 75. There's just nothing that will be close to Barnesville. So, does that help?
Yeah, just kind of curious. You're talking about dispensary and.
Yeah, it's an interesting
more-
business. I mean, this is a new avenue for me, but it's, the income it can bring is really good, and it makes sense. It's the only thing I've ever found that's made sense to take on the elevator. I'm constantly in debt with that elevator, and I need a new solution. So, and I don't know, it fits everything that the Clay County plan has, and it's still agriculture, it's the same stuff. It's always built for agriculture.
Anyone else have?
Excuse me? So I will have an on-site security 24/7. So, but then I have extensive, standard security stuff, cameras, everything on the doors and windows and everything. The thing with a grain elevator is so what cannabis is it's illegal on a federal level. It's legal on the state level. So what it ends up being like a cash business. So because you can't use any federal banks associated with it. And that's where the security comes in, because you do have a high amount of cash that is going to be there. But with that, everything is regulated. Everything goes into a safe. Everything, I can't even access the safe. The truck has to come pick the money up and take it to my bank, which is down in Mankato. So the amount of benefit anyone would get to break in there, if they knew where they were going, I mean, it would be minimal, couple $1,000s. Yeah, so you have an on-site security guy, so you have an armed security guard, and you typically will have a couple, not at the same time, but just so they can rotate shifts, and so there is a presence there. Historically, I'm an architect as well, so it's just like we talk about security on sites, and the best way to make a place secure is to use it and keep it occupied and make it well lit up. I mean, it'll have the proper lighting and everything, nothing that screws up the neighbors or anything like that. I'm very conscious of that. But it will be very secure, so.
What about sewer and water?
So I do have a well. I have a well on site. We have to have, so in the process of this and if we switch it over to this, we have to do some uptake or some, I'll have to have some tanks. I've already had a designer look at designing me. So we'll have storage tanks for our septic. And then we also have to have for the cultivation side, the cultivation is done hydroponically. So, but all that water is required to go into a tank and then be shipped to a treatment facility. So we don't dump it on the fields, we don't dump it in the ditch. It's all our waste has to be, every little part of this process, the state has just like picked apart and made sure that it's very heavy in compliance. So there's no Wild West about this thing at all. So.
Did you read into it, Tim? There's 2 holding tanks
Okay.
for the business. That's all there is. So there's not adequate space for a drain field. So they're always going to be pumping out,
Oh, okay.
according to what's wrote on there.
Yeah. So my design. So when you cultivate, two parts of that. The septic is a 1,300 gallon tank at, we would have approximately 2 1,300 gallon tanks that would be septic. And Bliley's would come pump that probably every 3 to 6 months, depending on the usage there. The water's a little bit different because what we do is when we first get started, we have to get that cultivation going, and then through the years you would start getting those crops staggered so that this can be on flowering and this can be growing and then this can be harvested. So you just have this cycle going. And that's when you change the water in those systems, those would go in there. So I don't have an answer on how often those would be pumped, but I don't anticipate them being pumped that often. I mean, I would have another 26 to 30 to 4,000 gallons of pumpable space or storage. So.
Thank you. Matt, have any questions for?
I do not, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Is there, we have a list to start with, Rita? And just to inform everyone that you will be limited to 3 minutes.
Before we start, does anybody have their registration to speak forms? If you've got one that you want to turn in, please get it to me now. Thank you. Ray Bernard.
And then please come to the mic and state your name for the record and
My name is Ray Bernard, last name Bernard. I live about a quarter mile from outside of Baker. I'm concerned about drugs being in the area because anytime you have drugs around, in my experience, you have crime. You have break-ins, you have people from out of the area that aren't familiar with the area. I had a repair business in Moorhead for 20 years, and we had rental properties, and every time we had trouble with any of them, it was basically you could figure it was drugs causing it, break-ins, the vehicle theft, houses, rental property getting destroyed inside. And I just don't want this kind of people coming out to our quiet community. To me, it's, you know, I lived in Fargo for 4 years, and I got back out of town just because of what was going on. You know, you had to have security cameras outside your place to see who's going through the vehicles at night and stuff like that. And, you know, we have it pretty good where we're at right now, living by Baker, and it's quiet, and, you know, I don't want to see that change. So that's why I'm here tonight. And I think everybody's here tonight because nobody knew about when the county approved for the cannabis growing operation, none of us were made aware that there was a hearing for it. So that's why we're here tonight. So that's all I want to say. Just
thank you.
we don't want that in our area.
Jake Offield.
Hello, my name is Jake Affield. I reside in 12248 119th Street South, Baker, Minnesota. It is on the east side of town. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Jake Affield. I live in Baker, Minnesota for almost 24 years. I just recently purchased my first home in Baker on August 29th of this year. Baker is the only place I want to live, and it has provided me and many of its residents with the perfect atmosphere, quiet and rural, yet close enough to town for easy access to amenities. I read an article about Dom's plan to make Baker, in quotations, better. In my opinion, Baker is perfect as it is, and the residents of Baker would agree with me. Bringing a business such as a dispensary would only be a detriment to the community. It would increase the traffic and attention brought to the town, which would ultimately lead to more crime and things of that matter, which is the exact opposite reason why people like to live in Baker. Many people ask me where I'm from, and I tell them Baker, Minnesota. And if they don't know where that is, I follow it up with 2 questions. If you know where Barnesville's at, and if they say yes, I ask them where Sabin's at. They say yes. Almost all the time, they say that they still don't know where Baker is. Just happens to be smack dab in the middle, and you miss it. So that being said, I would like Baker to stay the way it is and unrecognized by the general population. Thank you.
One moment, please. We're having some online difficulties right now, so we're trying to get those worked out. Christy Donovan.
Hi, my name is Christy Donovan. It's Donovan. And I live right in Baker. My address is 12219 119th Street South. Just to know that the first time that we ever heard about this dispensary is when it was on the radio the next day. We had no clue about it. I was told that when Mr. Dom went to that first meeting, he said he had went out and talked to a bunch of these Baker residents and we were all okay with it. Well, no, nobody was okay with it except for I think one person and his other neighbor that is too close to that dispensary. They are here tonight, didn't give him approval for it. So when he said that he went around and talked to all these residents, it was just a bold, fat out lie. This proposed location is near a new daycare and our softball fields. Our town is a family-friendly environment. During the late spring to summer months, we have t-ball and softball practices every week. They also do games here a couple times a month. And when those games are being played in Baker, the whole family usually comes with. Nobody worries about their kids if they want to go and walk through town. The introduction of a commercial cannabis establishment could potentially alter the atmosphere of our neighborhood, and it raises concerns for all of us. We don't want the loitering, the extra noise, and more litter than what is already there. Introducing a cannabis dispensary could conflict with the established character and an intended use of this zone, potentially impacting surrounding property values and the quality of life for our nearby residents. While I do trust law enforcement, the presence of a business dealing exclusively in a high-value, cash-intensive product can introduce new security challenges. We are concerned about the increased traffic and the demands this could place on our local police and emergency service resources, which are already budgeted for our community size and needs. I have a 13-year-old daughter that likes to walk all the way around this area. It's 2 miles from our place all the way around, which would go right by that elevator. She is now going to be too scared, as she has stated to me, I'm not going to walk around town anymore, Mom. That's sad that she has to be that way, just because she's scared, and she shouldn't have to be scared. I believe that the well-being and future character of Baker should be the guiding principle in your decision-making process, and the potential risks and impacts associated with this dispensary outweigh any potential benefits for a town of our size. Thank you for your time.
Rick Donovan.
My name is Rick Donovan. I live in Baker. It's going to be tough to follow that one. One of the things that I wanted to bring up was these meetings. We want to hear from the community, but some of these meetings I think maybe could be held a little later, 5:30. I think we would have had a lot more support here tonight if the meetings could have been a little bit later, maybe 6:30 or 7 o'clock. People move to a small community and small town out in the country to get away from stuff like this. I think everybody in the support that we have here tonight strongly opposes this from entering our community. We have personally talked to close to 90%, if not more, of people right in Baker, and only run into one person that really didn't have a say either way. We've talked to people in the immediate surrounding area and only ran into one person that didn't really have a say either way on this. Everybody else is opposed to this. Scott told council members that he talked to most of the people in the Baker area and everybody was okay with it. As my wife stated, that was a lie. That brings the question, if he's gonna lie about that, what else are we lying about to council members if he's gonna lie like that? Once you push this kind of stuff into the rural community, where do people go next? We come out to the rural community to get away from this kind of stuff. Now you're gonna bring it into the rural community. Where are we supposed to go from there? And that's about all I've got to say. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Shane Thompson.
Hi there, Shane Thompson. I do not live in Baker anymore. My parents still do. We homesteaded there in 1887. So my great-great-grandpa, my great-grandpa, and my grandpa have been coming up in my dreams since this started saying, absolutely not. We take care of our locals, and that's the families that have already talked, and nobody ever talked to me. You can see from the picture on your screen there that there's a big hole in the roof where the pigeons are in and out of it all the time. The white building to the left-hand side of the elevator was a Thompson. We all started the same time there, and I had two of my sons. Unfortunately, I had them grow up in Moorhead, and my oldest was actually selling cannabis to the teachers when he graduated. So, and their life has been completely upside down. If you can guarantee me 300% that it's not going to end up in the wrong hands, I might be a little more in favor of it. Out there, we don't have a local police department. Baker doesn't have anything except us neighbors taking care of other neighbors and calling each other when we see things that are going on. So we keep an eye on the neighbors and stuff like that. And the building is, yeah, it's been leaning for years too. So it's just a matter of time before it tips over. I started delivering product there and single axe trucks when I was 15 years old. So I've been there a long time too. So the medical side of it does have some benefits to certain people, but we don't have security down there to keep an eye on things. My warehouse is just a few miles, not even a mile away from there too. We used to have, the Thompsons had 5 of the 6 warehouses in Baker for potatoes back in the day, so, and I'm just worried about the crime and the extra security I'm gonna have to put on my stuff and keep a closer eye on the neighbors too, so. And if it gets in the wrong hands, it really ruins kids' lives when they're really young, so it can really mess stuff up, so. That's about all I have to say, so just take care of the locals and take care of the best and try to forget the rest, so that's what we'll do, so, thank you.
Gerald Butenhoff.
Hi, I'm Gerald Butnoff, Butenhoff. I'm Alliance Township Supervisor. Mr. Doms came to one of our meetings several months ago, and we were informed by him that he talked to most of the residents in Baker, which I was pointed out to rather bluntly the last couple meetings that he hadn't, and I don't blame him. The residents are not for it, and I don't believe we as a township are either. I think there's better places to go. We had a meeting last night again. We had approximately 30 citizens of Baker there, close residents, and we had nobody that was in favor of it. And I guess that's where we stand now. I think there's better places for it. I don't know where we go with parking. It's all unpaved roads. We have snow removal problems in the winter. I just think there's better options for something like this with people coming in. Thank you.
Tim Thompson. Thanks. Randy Ayfield.
Good evening. Thank you for listening to me here. Randy Affield, 11779 Baker, Minnesota. I've been there 50 plus years. I really don't want to date myself any narrower than that. But I am in opposition to this. Baker's Mayberry for me. It's home, it's quiet, it's peaceful. We want to keep it that way. Not necessarily opposed to the growing part of it, but as far as the retail and the consumption, heartburn city, not for Baker. And as far as the town of Baker goes, the road going in there, township gravel road, the infrastructure is not there to support extra traffic. The road is very subject to blowing in from the north snow. Poor location. It's a horrible location for anything retail. So, and I think that cannabis is in the very infancy stages here, and for the county or the commission here to bend the rules and the regulations, varying the setbacks is very premature. There's plenty of opportunity for people to utilize sites that fit into the zoning categories. Baker also has very little to no law enforcement presence, which is also problematic if you're going to bring a bunch of strangers into the community, both for the traffic and the resident safety. And I really think that Jerry's word should be taken very much to heart. Grassroots, township, that's where it should start. And I would also ask if you guys to research if the applicant exhibited positivity to the Otter Tail County Board when they took and heard his proposal. So that's all I got for you. Thank you for your time. I respectfully request that you deny this variance. Thank you.
Brittany Ockrey.
Hi, my name is Brittany Ockrey, A-A-K-R-E, and we live right outside of Baker on 110th Street. And we moved out there in 2017, my husband grew up in a rural community, and he wanted to get away from the city life. And so we moved out there, and we have 4 children, and I coach the T-ball team in the summer, and my husband coaches the middle league. So for many weeks of the summer, we have probably between 20 and 30 kids out there on Tuesday nights practicing, and then depending on if we're home or away on Wednesdays playing games, and there's also a senior league that plays too. And I just love that when we go to Baker, we just know it's a safe place to go and the kids can run around, and it doesn't just affect Baker because I have a friend that drives from Rothsay to play T-ball on our team, and some people drive from Barnesville to get to an even smaller team in a smaller community to play in. So to me, it's just really important that it stay small town. And I think I love historic landmarks and I love antiques, but I think what it comes down to is people, that people are important, and what a community wants is important, and that should be the most important thing taken into consideration, is that if the community doesn't want it and they don't feel like it's right for the community and why they moved out there, then it shouldn't be done. And that just, you consider the people in this and their heart that live in that area. And I just, too, living out on a 2-way highway, it's not Highway 10, it's Highway 52. There's only 2 lanes. And I like that it's not super, once you get past Sabin, there's not a lot of traffic. And I just think that would really increase the traffic. It's also located right on a railroad track. And even when I'm going to T-ball in the summer, I have to be very aware and look both ways because there's a building blocking it getting out of Baker. And so you have to be very careful with that kind of stuff because it's kind of a dangerous intersection. So thank you.
Chastity Olson.
Hi, Chastity Olson, OLSON. I live at 12254 118th Street South. I'm sorry, I might get a little emotional. I have a 4-year-old son and a 1-year-old daughter. And the first time that I heard about this was a letter in the mail. my son plays going up and down the driveway. And I think, what kind of traffic this will bring. Or what kind of crowds, how busy will it be? Do I have to worry about my kids playing in the front yard? I chose Baker because I lived in Ditworth. I moved to Barnesville, and we wanted even smaller town. We wanted smaller to where we could raise our son. And I drove by Baker every day for 4 years, not knowing that we would buy a home in Baker. And I guess just listening to Mr. Dom's plans with security, it doesn't sound very thought out. There wouldn't be much, he thinks there won't be much crime behind a cannabis business. There'd be a couple $1,000s to steal. But if your first response is, I'm gonna have cameras for security, but you're gonna have security 24/7, who's watching those cameras 24/7? Is the security officer on site 24/7? Is Barnesville, when they mentioned the THC sales are no longer going to be there, does that increase even more traffic or more popularity? I guess I fear the unknown, not knowing what this brings, what kind of crowd it brings. And I guess I chose Baker because of the small town. I don't think the elevator defines the town. I think the people do. The homes, so that's all. I just request that you deny the dispensary. And I mean, I respect I understand if the Airbnb didn't work out, or we're trying to find costs to, keep it. I understand, but I guess I have to think of my family and the other growing families in the township, in the area. It's just too close to homes. Comparing it to the dispensary in Moorhead isn't sufficient because that's in the middle of Moorhead. This is the middle of a neighborhood. It's just not, it's not ideal. Thank you.
Okay, is there anybody else in the audience or online that wishes to speak for or against? Is there anyone in the audience or online that wishes to speak for or against?
What's the population of the town?
Yeah, 55.
We will need people to go to the microphone if they're speaking, please.
We do have more signatures than what you have there. I believe Daryl's got one more page in his vehicle that he forgot to bring up, so.
Okay, well, we will, we have over 30 signatures here in a population of possibly 50, all opposing. So I'm going to continue with, for the third and final time, is there anyone else in the audience or online that wishes to speak for or against? Hearing none, look for a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close.
Motion by Travis. Second by Dennis. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Public hearing is closed. So now we will begin the findings of fact.
And Mr. Chair, just a reminder to you and the board, as I do with every meeting, that there are findings that have been drafted based on the information that we've received prior to the hearing, our ordinance and the comprehensive plan. I think it'd be important too to consider the testimony as well, and essential to consider the testimony that you heard tonight in your findings as well. And then again, you can these are your findings, modify them, change them any way you see fit, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Is granting the variance in harmony with the general purposes and intent of the Clay County Land Development Code? The 500-foot residential setback for cannabis business is intended to provide a protective buffer for nearby homes by reducing odor, lighting, traffic, and security impacts. Reducing the setback to approximately 250 feet would lessen the buffer and has the potential to create impacts on neighboring properties. And reuse of the elevator structure is consistent with ordinance goals supporting adaptive reuse, economic reinvestment, and maintaining the historic development pattern of the Agricultural Service Center.
Say no.
Okay, we have Leo disagreeing, saying no. Okay.
No.
Okay.
So with that no, Mr. Chair, what would you like your findings to read here? Are you keeping everything, or are you striking that last paragraph and having the first paragraph be your main finding? Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
And I think, Mr. Chair, just to point out, I guess I'll just make the point that Matt's pointing out too. He gave you different things in there as just potential advice. You should make some findings so that they are written findings that can be on the document. The two that are there are two differing ones, that he gave you two different options that you could look to, but you would want to use one or the other based on what you're saying there.
Thank you. And it is my understanding that the board has said that no, granting this variance is not in harmony with the general purposes and intent of the Clay County, and that the reducing the 500-foot buffer by 50% has potential to create negative impacts.
Kind of hard with having the two things that are wrote on here, because the bottom one, the reuse of the elevator structure, is consistent in ordinance goals, and I think everybody would like to see it developed and turned into, something more, but maybe just not this.
Yeah, most of these rules are we just went through the county, just updated the county code, and my understanding, the 500-foot was to really ensure that there was no impacts with the neighbors, and to turn around and cut it by 50% immediately within 12 months of setting up those rules seems kind of odd.
Oops. Okay. Let's.
Yeah, and Just to give a little background on this 500-foot residential setback, so, you know, it's not in state statute. State statute does explicitly provide specific setbacks to different types of uses such as schools, daycares, residential treatment facilities, features within a park that would be used regularly by minors or children. The reason why Clay County, the board, chose to adopt a 500-foot residential setback in this instance is because a lot of our other uses in Clay County that have potential to have impacts out off the property, they have setbacks as well to residences. And so just being consistent with our ordinance and with our comprehensive plan is one of the reasons why that setback was introduced.
That, that setback is in partially to that 8%?
Yeah, I mean, when I did just an analysis of it, an 8% could meet that setback, but they would be virtually all greenfield development. So, yep. I should also remind the board that if you find a negative finding for one of these, the variance is denied. All of the criteria must be met. I still recommend going through all of the findings of fact, if this is what you intend to do.
I feel that is the appropriate way to move forward, to go through all of them. That is my intent. Okay. Is the requested variance consistent with the Clay County Comprehensive Land Use Plan? The comprehensive plan encourages revitalization of the ASC communities, including the reuse of structures such as grain elevators. And the plan also emphasizes compatibility between land uses and protection of residential character. The request supports some plan goals while conflicting with residential buffering objectives.
I guess I would side with number 2, the second option.
Okay. The plan also emphasizes compatibility between land uses and protection of residential character. The plan supports some plan goals while conflicting buffering objectives.
Yeah, which would mean basically a no.
Yes, I would agree that. Does the applicant establish that there are practical difficulties in complying with the strict letter of the Clay Development Land Code by demonstrating the applicant proposes to use the property in a reasonable manner not permitted by an official control? The proposed business cannot meet the 500-foot setback required by the ordinance, preventing establishment of the use without a variance. The property is currently being used as a vacation rental and has an administrative home occupancy permit for an architectural design firm and showroom. Exceptional or extraordinary circumstances apply to the property that do not apply generally to other properties in the same district or vicinity, and which result from lot size, shape, topography, or other circumstances over which the landowner has no control. And history here. The grain elevator was constructed prior to zoning regulations. However, its placement on a small lot not meeting the required setbacks is not unique to other properties in the same district and vicinity. Only 8% of the lots in the ASC district could meet the setback, and virtually all those do not have structures. The structure cannot reasonably be relocated to meet the setback. Granting the variance will not alter the essential character of the property's locality. Baker historically includes a mix of homes and small commercial or agricultural service in close proximity. reuse of the elevator aligns with that historic character. A cannabis business, however, would introduce impacts from different from previous agricultural uses, depending on odor control, lighting, and security measures. Practical difficulties, as used in connection with the granting of a variance, mean that the property owner proposes to use the property in a reasonable manner not permitted by official control. The plight of the landowner is due to circumstances unique to the property not created by the landowner, and the variance, if granted, will not alter the essential character of the locality. Economic considerations alone do not constitute practical difficulties. Variance shall be granted for earth-sheltered construction as defined in section 216C.06 subdivision 14 when in harmony with the official controls. And I guess we can go through, to me, we should go through each paragraph separately.
Do you want a yes or no on each of them?
I mean, and, yeah, that we should point out because we're on the first one, the applicant, the cannabis business cannot meet the 500.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna, I see heads going no on A.
And Mr. Chair, is that kind of what you want to, I think the finding that's drafted here is, yes, it can't meet the setback. There are other reasonable uses of the property that would be permitted by official control. Is that kind of what I'm?
Yes.
So we're no on number 1 and number 2, and now we're on number 3?
Correct. And
I guess I would say yes to number 3.
Yes, sir.
I don't think that was there's practical difficulty there.
C, and I would disagree on part C, that there is a definite, that it would have.
And
It would definitely alter.
You can remove the bottom one, correct? The bottom paragraph?
For C? Or
For C.
I could, although, just to summarize some of the public testimony that you heard tonight, I feel like when I'm looking back at my notes, a lot of it did refer to the essential character of the community of Baker. So that could be something to draw on in your findings.
Yes, the sentence in C, granting the variance will, in the opinion of the supermajority of the residents, will alter the essential character.
I see.
Is that what you would like me to kind of put for that finding?
Reword that, please.
The
No, what I was saying was giving my interpretation of what the public testimony was that I'm gonna say a definite no on C, and I'm gonna say no to the whole.
Yeah, I had it backwards.
Oh, got you. And what would you want to have? What is your written finding for that
No.
would alter the essential character of the locality? That's kind of what I'm looking for.
I'm gonna say that granting the variance would alter. So I'm a no.
Based on the public testimony, or
Based on the public testimony and other information that we have. Okay, would the literal interpretation of the provisions of the Clay County Land Development Code deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the same district under terms of this ordinance? Approximately 92% of the properties in the Ag Service District would not meet the required setback for this business, and this would not deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties. And the subject property may still be used for other permitted or conditional uses within the district if variances to dimensional and setbacks are granted, meaning the inability to meet the 500-foot setback applies specifically to the proposed use rather than all reasonable uses. And for me, the key sentence is the last one here. The property is currently being used as a vacation rental and has an administrative home occupation permit for an architectural design firm and showroom. You know, so there are other, we're just not thinking this is,
It has purpose already.
so I am a no on 4 also. Is the variance being granted the minimum variance that would alleviate the practical difficulty? The requested reduction reflects the existing separation between the elevator and the nearest residence. The requested reduction to the setback is 50%. No alternative layout or adjustment has been identified that would increase the distance or reduce the amount of variance requested.
So that would be a yes, since they are requesting the minimum.
Yep, they're requesting that the minimum be changed, reduced by 50%. Does the variance request meet all the below criteria? No variance shall be granted where any of the following conditions are not met. Adequate sewage systems or water supply capabilities can be provided. Nothing is there currently, but it could be. And the current system tanks need to be visited by Clay County and whoever. So we're a yes on.
Yes.
The plight of the landowner or hardship is not due to circumstances created by the landowner. The elevator's location and lot configuration predate zoning requirements and are not the result of landowner actions. The difficulty arises in part from the applicant's selection of a use that requires a residential setback.
Be a no. It's a self-inflicted.
Pardon?
It's a self-inflicted circumstance, so I would say that would be a no.
Okay. The variance would not allow a use that is not already allowed in that zoning district. Cannabis businesses are allowed as a conditional use in applicable districts. The variance does not authorize a prohibited land use.
So that'd be a no.
Yes.
There would not be a significant adverse effect on public safety, public health, or safety. A reduced setback may increase the potential for odor, lightning, security impacts on nearby residents if mitigation measures are ineffective. State and county regulatory standards may reduce these impacts depending on the implementation and monitoring. Potential for safety.
I just caught up with the last one. I see.
Okay, so we already know.
And so would you want to modify that finding at all then, or?
That there may be a significant adverse effect on public health and safety would be how I would word it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, we're at the motion time. I would, look for a motion to approve or disapprove the variance request.
Like a motion to deny?
Motion by Leo to deny the variance request. Second by Dennis and Tim. Any further discussion?
Dennis or Tim?
Dennis. It was a tie, but D comes before T in the alphabet.
Do we need roll call vote?
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of voting for denying the variance, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Variance is denied. Thank you. Any unfinished business, Matt?
No unfinished business, Mr. Chair.
New business?
No new business unless anyone has anything that they would want to bring to the board.
Okay, our next potential meeting would be,
Oh, I do have one thing, actually.
Okay.
Apologies. A couple things. The draft 2026 meeting calendar, you should have that in your packets. So that's tentatively what we're thinking about for meetings. It's very similar to this year, and we can look at approving that at our next meeting. There was a rescheduling of the county truth and taxation meeting to December 17th, I believe, and that's when we would typically meet. So the truth and taxation, or 16th, sorry, meeting would occur at the same time as our Board of Adjustment meeting. We could certainly alter it on that day, or we could just move to just meeting again in January. It would be difficult to, typically I would recommend pushing the meeting back a week, but with the Christmas holiday being that following week, I think that would be difficult to do. So we could just not have a December meeting if that's what you all as a board would want to do, and then just reconvene in January. What would be your?
Do you have applicants?
We have one we do have one application in. We would just need to extend our 60-day, which we'd provide written notice to the applicant on that, so.
okay, looks like we are all golden with not having a meeting on the 16th because it conflicts with other county business at the time, and move it to the, wow, January 27th.
Yep.
Okay,
We could do the 20th too if you'd want to do earlier. I think we could make that work potentially.
Isn't there a county conflict, the reason it's at the 27th?
Usually just with newspaper notifications and things like that. I could look into it and reach out to you. But yeah, for now, maybe just keep it at the 27th unless there's a potential to move it earlier.
Okay, well, we'd have to move both. I mean, I'd prefer if we'd have both the same day.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so potential, no meeting in December, we're going to push the application until then. Looking at next meeting Tuesday, January 27th. Hearing nothing further, look for a motion to adjourn. Motion by Dennis,
Second.
second by Leo. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everyone.